also concerned about those that are walking out of this courthouse, taken away from their families. They don't have the attention. They don't have the lawyers. And that's why the state of New York is providing $50 million to cover legal services for people who are finding themselves in this situation. We'll continue to do what we can to support the communities and the immigration coalitions and thank them for their work that they're doing at this time. It's hard to see these people, to know their stories, to hug them, to know they've been separated from loved ones. I just want to say we're a better country than this. We're a far better country than what we're experiencing. This is New York. This is New York. A land of immigrants. We're proud of them. As I stood in the hallway upstairs on the 9th floor waiting to know the whereabouts of my friend, almost everyone I spoke to who worked there in security and otherwise, they came from other countries. They're immigrants themselves. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, I present our Comptroller, Fred Lander.
I want to thank the governor, and I want to thank Immigrant ARC, the organization that I was volunteering with today, and all the other volunteers that are here. I'm New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, and I'm happy to report I am just fine. I lost a button. But, you know, I'm going to sleep in my bed tonight, safe with my family. I'm grateful to hear that the charges are not being brought, but if they are, I've got a lawyer. I don't have to worry about my due process rights. At that elevator, I was separated from someone named Edgardo, who I had just met a couple of minutes earlier. Edgardo is in ICE detention, and he's not going to sleep in his bed tonight. So far as I know, he has no lawyer. He has been stripped of his due process rights by a government and a judge that owe him a credible fear hearing before they deport him, and yet have decided instead to strip folks like Edgardo and the prior gentleman that I walked out with, whose native language is Yoruba, and who only got a translator in French. And so when the judge said, do you understand what it means that after I dismiss your case, you'll have no status? He said, no status, as he recognized what was about to happen. So I will be fine, but Edgardo is not going to be fine. And the rule of law is not fine. And our constitutional democracy is not fine. This is the third week in a row that I've come down here with Immigrant ARC to accompany families out of this building. And before today, I had walked 4 families out, all of whom were afraid that they were going to be detained by ICE agents, and yet who were able to walk out of the building, even though they had had their cases dismissed and are subject to expedited removal, but were nonetheless able to get out of that building and at least get back to their kids, get back to their families, try to figure out what's next. Today, Meg, I really want to say a big thank you to my wife, Meg, who was here with me doing it. Meg and I were able to walk out a family of 4 beautiful, what, did you get their names? No, so 4, like a mom, a dad, a 5-year-old, and a 4-year-old. Beautiful kids. Meg's Spanish is a lot better than mine, so she took their names. They have 1 week. The judge gave them 1 week to come back and talk about why they fear being deported to their country. And so we're certainly going to follow up with them. We got their number and are going to make sure that at least they get as much help as we can provide, as New York City, as New York State can provide to help them avoid being separated or being detained. But then when we went back upstairs, again, we had these next 2 cases, this Yoruba gentleman and then Edgardo, who we just tried to walk out of the building. And I think you saw the video. All I tried to do was just hold Edgardo's arm and ask the ICE agents, do you have a warrant? And they would not show me the warrant. And I said I'd let go of his arm as soon as they showed it to me, and they did not show it to me, and you saw what happened. I will say they treated me just fine after that. And it is true, Governor, you know, as you just said, that the two ICE agents who detained me, one is a Pakistani Muslim immigrant who lives in Brighton Beach, and the other is an Indo-Guyanese gentleman who lives in South Ozone Park. This is what New York City is. It is the greatest immigrant city that the world has ever known. And we are not going to allow Donald Trump to wreck the rule of law, to deny people due process, and to turn our country into something that doesn't meet its obligations under international law. And so I just engaged in that tradition of accompaniment, of trying to bear witness, of trying to walk peacefully with someone, of trying to make sure that the rules are followed, and that we would know what their badge numbers were, and that we would be able to see the judicial warrant before he was detained, because we don't know where Edgardo is now. No one is able to be in touch with him. And our country is better than that. Our country is better than that. In the room where I was detained, there are posters on the wall, you know, like you have in the store where it says, make sure you're being paid $7.25 an hour. And on the wall of the poster, it says in English, are you detained and separated from your children? And it says in Spanish, está usted detenido y separado de sus hijos. Like, that's what's on the walls of the detention room in this building. We are normalizing family separation. We are normalizing due process rights violations. We are normalizing the destruction of constitutional democracy, and we're not going to stand by and let it happen. This city, 8 million New Yorkers, 40% of them, themselves immigrants, themselves foreign-born, like those two officers. 50% of New Yorkers live in mixed status households, including 1 million children. That is the future of our city that we are fighting for. And I was proud to be out here with Immigrant Arc. I will keep coming back. I do want to say, you know, I am grateful to the governor for coming. I'm grateful to all of you for being here. I believe it is important to show up and bear witness and accompany people, and to do it in the tradition of nonviolent witness. We are not going to give Donald Trump and his goons any excuse for ratcheting up conflict or violence. It is possible to show up and protect New Yorkers and protect people who have the right to seek asylum and insist on due process, and do it in the best traditions of nonviolent witness, and show that this city, the greatest immigrant city the world has ever known, the city with that statue out in the harbor saying, send me your tired, your poor, your wretched masses yearning to breathe free, that we will do it in a way that honors that statue, that honors our traditions, that shows what New Yorkers look like. Thank you all very much for being out here. Okay, I appreciate you.
Everyone stand back!
Hang on, you guys. All right, Chloe.
Everyone sit down! If you're going to ask a question, I need you to sit down.
You guys. Sit down. Sit down.
We are going to take 5 questions.
Brad, will you be back tomorrow?
I'm going to call on the question people, and you know I'm a fair person. And
All right, you see, we're navigating between the office side and the campaign side here. We got all our teams on the ground, so let's try to do this calmly.
I saw a Univision in the back. Anyone? Are you going to ask a question? Going once, going twice. He's not paying attention. I will do Henry.
Brad, thank you. Will you be back here tomorrow or in future days?
I absolutely will be back here. And I would urge others to do it as well. You know, I think people are looking. I was proud to be out within the No Kings March with, I don't know, 75,000 people we had out this weekend. And a lot of people asked, what more can we do? And I think showing up to bear witness and accompany is one important thing that all New Yorkers, or many New Yorkers, could do. And I will be doing it again. I didn't have my phone upstairs while I was detained, so honestly, I have no idea what my schedule is and when. But yes, I guarantee you I will be back here.
Brad, the governor mentioned right at the top that they're not pursuing charges or they've dropped the charges, but what DHS put out was that you put your hands on a federal officer and you were being charged with obstructing justice.
Seriously?
So, I wonder what your response is to the way DHS characterized it for 4 hours before you came out.
I mean, so I have not seen, literally, I didn't have my phone, and I literally just walked out of the building, and I haven't had a chance to read one thing. I do know that while I was in there, Meg got me a lawyer, and so, but I mean, I take it seriously. It's like, I know I'm going to have due process. I mean, I don't know. I trust that, the governor said that they informed her that the charges are being dropped. I don't know because I haven't, seen or heard any information.
That's exactly what they said.
Okay, I'm reading it.
I said you assaulted an officer.
I mean, you guys all saw it on video, so you know exactly what happened. And I think probably on advice of counsel, I will not characterize the events. But I certainly did not assault an officer. I engaged anyway. So, but I guess I just think here's the thing. Like, I know I will have due process, and I will have a good lawyer, and my rights will be protected. But Edgardo has no due process rights and no lawyer, and is going to sleep tonight in God knows where in an ICE detention facility. And so is the name of the guy beforehand, Fox. What was his name, do you think? Zed. Zed, the same, and you should have seen it. I mean, Courtney was in the room when they told Zed in French, though his native language is Yoruba, that the dismissal of his case meant he had no status. And I think he asked back in French, "What do you mean I have no status? Why?" And he's not going to have a lawyer, and he's not going to have due process, and that's why I was here. And I'll certainly defend myself in court if DHS pursues charges. But what this is about is making sure that everybody has an opportunity to have a lawyer, to have their due process.
Hey, 5 fellow mayoral candidates came here within 90 minutes of you being arrested.
I thank all of them.
Called out for your release. What does that say about the tenor of the mayor's race? That here we are. Voting has already begun. We're a week from the election, and people are racing down to your defense.
Was one of them Andrew Cuomo?
No, that's what I was going to say.
Imagine that. Look, I mean, this is a critical time to have a mayor who will stand up to ICE and stand up to Donald Trump and insist on due process and the laws of this city. This is a sanctuary city. I was proud to co-sponsor those laws, and I'm going to show up and defend them. And partly why I'm running for mayor is that New Yorkers deserve better than a mayor like Eric Adams, who sold New Yorkers out in a deal for his own pardon with Donald Trump. And New Yorkers deserve better in a mayor than Andrew Cuomo, who on that debate stage last week, when I asked him, why did you deny those immigrant subway cleaners who risked their lives during COVID the prevailing wage and the health care they deserve, all he could think about was, hey, were they, and I couldn't believe he called them illegal. And you could tell in his head, all he was worried about was, would it reflect badly on him? And what New Yorkers are deciding right now is, will we have a mayor who stands up for the traditions of this city, who protects immigrant New Yorkers, and who protects all New Yorkers? I am very grateful to the other mayoral candidates who came out here to call for my release, to stand up for those traditions, and I really hope New Yorkers will elect one of us.
So Brad, I want to ask you,
Courtney right here.
Brad, there are a lot of people who are going to say that this was a political stunt. I mean, I can recall back to 2013 when Bill de Blasio was arrested outside of Lynch, and that helped propel his mayoral campaign. Do you think that this is going to give you some sort of boost? And what do you say to people who think that this is just some sort of political stunt?
So first, I'll just say this is the third week in a row I've showed up, and the reason I started coming, we've got Murad Awadeh from New York Immigration Coalition here. I don't know, a few weeks ago I saw that as they started stripping people of status, as they started dismissing cases, religious leaders and observers who were here had been arrested and denied their right simply to sit and watch. And that was when I said to my team, I think it's important for us to go down there, and I hope other elected officials will as well. And I reached out to some who are not candidates for anything to say, I think we ought to show up in court And I don't know what they'll have us do. I guess I expected to sit in a courtroom like we did for a minute and just bear witness and watch. But as soon as I got up in the elevator, a lawyer with Immigrant Art said, hey, this person has just been stripped of their status. Could you just try to accompany them downstairs? And that was a 25-year-old guy named Camilo, and he had like a 2-year-old named Brian who was scampering around. And they were both like, I mean, Camilo was shaking. And, you know, he got in the elevator with me, and we went downstairs, and we really expected to have him grabbed like Edgardo was. And when we got out of the building, I mean, we were both like shaking, and we got an apple and a yogurt, and they got on the train. And I'll be honest, I felt more useful in those few minutes to doing the job elected officials should be doing right now than I have at any moment since Donald Trump was elected. So I went back upstairs and did it again. And I said to my team, you put me back here every week as long as we can do this. And like, that's how I understand what the responsibility of being an elected official in New York City is. I did not come today expecting to get arrested. I came today just expecting, hoping to do that again. And I really think I failed today because my goal was to get Edgardo out of the building so he could go back to his family. And that is what I wanted to happen.
Right. You were in Newark, right? You're in Newark.
To be clear, did you touch law enforcement in any way? And if not, why do you think they're making this accusation?
Yeah, I mean, I think on advice of counsel, I'm gonna wait and let the case play out.
What was different about
you can watch the video.
Hey, everyone, guys, that was the last one.
Some, including DHS, have said that you have sort of tried to orchestrate this for a viral moment. Obviously, it's coming as you're running for mayor. Do you want to address those criticisms?
My goal was to walk Edgardo out of the building. I can't tell you the bit of, like, we got to walk one family out today, and that's this family of 4 that's back at home. And nothing would have made me happier to be able to get in that elevator and let Edgardo go about his business. That was what I came to do, and it is all I want.
Brad, we were in Newark. We were in Newark, and he was there. I want to ask you, in that situation, we saw Bonnie Watson Coleman, 80-year-old member of Congress, a cancer survivor, LaMonica MacGyver, and Robert Menendez Jr., all get around Ross Bracco, who was a mayor sitting in Newark, who was pulled off a public street by masked ICE agents. The civil disobedience they offered was to slow it down. They didn't hurt anyone. Is that part of this issue, is the question of just making inquiry and asking to have law enforcement explain the grounds of what they're doing?
Yes.
That's due process, right?
Yes, I was simply asking for them to show me the judicial warrant by which they were detaining Edgardo, to give me their badge numbers, and to guarantee the due process that all New Yorkers deserve.